Hello, hello. This is Fake the Nation, where we talk about news, we talk about culture, and where we learn that the White House ballroom construction is actually underway. I am your host, Negin Farsad, and I was reminded about this dumb ballroom because of reporting that Melania isn't happy with the noise of the construction. Trump jokes that she has to hear it all day and all night, and he just sounds like such a thoughtful partner. But in the midst of the noise, she has launched her own production company, which is probably going to provide the severe and oddly cold content that America has been waiting for. Today, we're going to talk about new research on cat behavior. We're also going to ask if it's suddenly very embarrassing to have a boyfriend. On the political front, we'll have a look at the current events in D.C. and what that means for asylum seekers and green card holders. Plus, Pete Hegseth has got an itchy war crimes trigger finger. Costco suing the Trump administration. And finally, is there an elegant way to get out of doing things? Today, I am joined by, oh my God, such an incredible panel. We have with us for the first time on the show, right?
I'm a virgin.
She's a virgin to the show.
Yes, the show.
She's a journalist and host of the podcast Smart Girl Dumb Questions, which is such an excellent pod. I've listened to a handful of episodes. I've enjoyed them. They're with just incredible cultural luminaries. You should be subscribing. It is the wonderful Nayeema Raza. Hey, Nayeema.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And Spotify just said her podcast is like the best of the year.
Oh my God.
Best
Her, Michelle Obama, a few other notables.
Pretty
They're
big
the
deal.
same.
Just like
Now
the other
the-
first lady.
This other voice you're hearing is, you've seen him on the show before. He's a fan favorite. He's a comedian. He's the host of The Daily. The Daily. This is just such an impressive amount of output from this man.
So much output.
The daily podcast, Standup With Pete Dominick. It is the incredible Pete Dominick.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here with both of you. This is exciting.
So exciting to be here. And can I also just add that we are coming to you from the PNT podcast studio in Lower East Side. In Lower East Side.
We're in
I speak without articles now.
Yes.
Is that an article? Is the
Article.
Yeah,
It's an
article. We're in the Lower East Side of New York City, and we're taping for the first time from this beautiful studio. It looks vaguely like space, and also vaguely like candy.
But it's also right on the street in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and you can watch people walk by. It's right on the storefront. It's very cool, and I'm excited.
can watch
you can tell how not famous we are because there's not like a line
No
of
one
people.
cares.
Like when Martha Stewart
No one
takes it, there's like a line. But here they're just walking by.
Somebody did just walk by and ask why Daughtry was in the bookstore. That's me. I look like Daughtry. I've been told. I met Daughtry, by the way, and we just stared at each other.
Oh, that's
real weird.
I don't know. Is that a brag somehow? Yes.
Oh, yeah,
It's like
he's
a
considered very, very handsome.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
good. Okay. Everybody go watch.
Is it considered? I'll adjust my
All
my
bald
feelings.
white guys with beards look exactly alike.
All of a
They
sudden,
do.
if you're just listening to this podcast, make sure you go to Negin Farsad's YouTube channel so you can be watching.
That's
it for
right.
This
Yeah.
dream man over here.
That's right. Now, before we get into the show, I just want to remind listeners that I'm going to be in D.C. on December 12th at the Atlas Performing Arts Center doing The Muslims Are Coming. We're taping it. I am making a sequel to the movie The Muslims Are Coming. More on this later.
I hope it's called The Muslims Are Leaving.
Hey,
I mean,
ladies
we've
and
got
gentlemen.
enough.
Come on.
They're everywhere.
First Mom Donnie, now these fucking guys can't
Wait, he's
stop
Muslim?
talking.
Oh God! They're-
So if you're in DC, I hope you come out on December 12th. A lot of podcast favorites on that lineup. We've got Jabran Salim, who's been on the show, Yasmin Eladi. We're representing the Muzz. And then on the non-Muzz front, we've got beloved Fake the Nation
non-Muzz.
regular, I know, non-Muzz, is Corey Ryan Forster and Ophira Eisenberg, both podcast regulars. So come out and see that show. And now let us get into it with topic number one. We're going to dig into culture. With a weird study about cats. Apparently, new data shows that cats greet male owners with more meowing than they do female owners. Now, I don't know. Can either of you explain why cats meow harder for dudes. Nayeema, do you have any
I think
guesses on this?
This study, which was covered by the New York Times, is like I think a little bit of a journalistic meme because it's a small study. The N is 31 cats. The N is 31 cats.
Okay, all right.
So I don't want to kill the whole. Oh, sorry. I don't want to kill it, but I will say I'm curious what drove the study. Okay, sorry.
A man.
No, yeah.
No, a woman. Because I'm like,
woman.
if you replace the word cat with like anybody, anybody needs to. It's like basically like men are tone deaf and need to be like clawed at and yelled at to pay attention to people. That's what the study is saying. To cats.
Yeah. I mean, right. Well, just that men need more or don't fucking listen. And
I think the study says media needs studies to get clicks because this is such a perfect. I mean, there's a huge disconnect, according to all scientists that I talk to, about the difference between science and journalism, or journalists interpreting their science, and so often getting things wrong. But there's also, these studies are often funded and conducted so they can get attention for their outlets or wherever. But this, like
the New York Times did not fund the study.
No, but like she said, you can't. That's not a study. 31 cats is not like if you can.
They talked about how they had a hard time studying cats because cats can't.
Shocking.
Well, that was actually Actually, I thought what was so fascinating about this article was that. Sorry, I'll go closer. What was so fascinating about this article was that cats are understudied. There are so many more dog studies than cat studies. So I feel like cats are like the women in health research. Like they drive 80% of health decisions and financing, but they only get like a small percentage of the studies.
Right.
So one, that.
Yes.
And two is there were many cat dropouts and owner dropouts from this study.
Well, because cats are notoriously not known for their participation skills.
Yeah, I'm a catless, childless lady.
Well, but I also just want to point out, sample set size notwithstanding, that cats produce 4.3 meows in the 100-second greeting window with men versus 1.8 meows with women. I just thought that was a fun that we even have, decimals on cat meowing. I just thought was fun. Also, I just wanted to quote the researchers who said men, quote, require more explicit vocalization to notice and respond to the needs of their kids.
That's true. I think that's true.
That feels right. Word.
Also, exactly. Insert whatever it is, because my husband, and we have a dog. Now, he pays a lot of attention to our daughter, so I'll say that. Aww. But he does not pay very much attention to our dog. And I mean, he's a great guy, but I pay more attention to the dog.
But who does the dog pay more attention to?
To me, because
really?
I pay more attention to him.
Oh, okay. That's like a very healthy attached. That's a securely attached dog.
Oh, he knows I'm the one.
An anxiously attached cat. Maybe these cats are anxiously attached. Maybe we need to study their attachment styles.
When my ex-wife and I got separated a couple of years ago, my dog was like, good. Is that the same thing? Is that the same thing? Or did I just want to crowbar in that my dog had views on my marriage?
But I think that's the N is less than 31 study. Yes.
I think it was just... That study might be.
Nayeema is only concerned with sample set size throughout this podcast. That's going to be her main area.
She's an evidence-based journalist.
I just want to say on this podcast that size does matter.
Hey! Ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Speaking of that, elsewhere in culture, we read a piece in Vogue that talked about a shift away from people posting about their boyfriends in a kind of bragging way, and instead posting about their boyfriends almost in an embarrassed way, or like sort of subtly indicating that they don't have one, even though they really do. Now, have either of you noticed that there's been a cultural shift about having boyfriends and that it's maybe now embarrassing? Is having a boyfriend like just too normy and therefore we should stay away from it?
I mean, it has. You can notice it on your feeds. The boyfriends have disappeared, and in their place is just one eyebrow over a menu, just one shoulder behind the car wheel. It's like, what's happening to the boyfriends? Get them out of hiding. But I think all of social media is like trending towards subtle because social media feels a little embarrassing now.
Ooh, I like this.
Just posting
take.
Posting in general, posting your life in general is embarrassing. Is that what you're?
I think that in general.
Why do you think that?
I think in general there's been a trend away from posting your life. It's like become uncool. It used to be that like people wanted to date influencers. Now it's like nobody wants to date an influencer. Sorry, Pete.
Wait,
I definitely do.
I don't
I definitely want
categorize
to date
Pete
an
as an
influencer.
influencer.
Oh, I thought he was an influencer.
Oh, I thought Nayeema was. I didn't think that's what she was saying. I thought she was saying, "Sorry, you can't date an influencer." I didn't even think. I think very lowly of myself, but I don't know the answer to this question. Because I don't understand who these women necessarily are. That are. I think it's a younger cohort that thinks about these things, but maybe it's 40 and up, 50 and up, divorced, separated women. But I also think that maybe just having one boyfriend is a bad idea. If you're dating, if you're single, my understanding now is like, have a few people going and to decide who you like. So
that's before you have a boyfriend, Pete. That's
that's what boyfriend means?
This is talking about, right. This is like you have a boyfriend.
No,
why am I here in this conversation?
Because you're the boyfriend we're hiding. Just hide, Pete. Just hide.
Everybody does. Exactly.
No, but I think that, listen, I find it more cringeworthy, this like subtle boyfriend posting. Telling me you have a boyfriend without telling me you have a boyfriend is worse than just telling me you have a boyfriend, I think.
Okay, and so this kind of speaks to this heterofatalism thing that's happening. That I have heard more about heterofatalism in my feed, which is that basically men are shitty to date.
That's
and
right.
And women are really pissed off about it, and they're being very pessimistic about the entire project of dating, because and this is specific again to heterosexual women, but they're kind of like just disenchanted with the entire project of dating because men are so difficult to date. Nayeema, what are your thoughts on that?
I am a straight woman who is in the dating market. Call me, guys. I'm just kidding. But in general, I think. I don't know. I don't like the whole heterofatalism thing. I don't think that it's just men are hard to date. I think dating culture is really hard.
Yeah.
I do think there are fewer men in supply in like major cities. Like the data would bear that out at the kind of same level of education, income, all the things of like even like availability than women. But I think what also happens like life is so rich. There are other paths. Like it used to be, you just had to get married and have a kid and have this path. And I think even for me, just living in New York the last 5 years of like being like at my 30s in New York, I'm like, oh, there is a whole other way to live that is shown to me by gay men, by people who partnered up but didn't have kids. And you see that in Europe, but in America has had this kind of like puritanical like escalator of relationship writing. This has also become really politicized because on various podcasts discussing this, people, and in the article that that was written in Vogue, I think they noted a couple of podcasters, both of whom had boyfriends, saying that, oh, having a boyfriend's like Republican now.
Yes, that quote felt really crazy to me. I mean, I think, well, it's so funny because I don't know if you had this phase, Pete, as like a dude, but in my early days in comedy, I did not want anyone to think I had a boyfriend. So, and I had a lot of like kind of 6 month to a year boyfriends at the time, but I was very quiet about it because I just wanted to appear to be very like free and like, oh my God, my takes on everything are so fun because I'm like single and I'm out there, and you know what I mean? Also, as a woman, I this is gross, but I just felt like it would get me more bookings if I appeared to be single.
Oh, yeah. I have a gross.
It's true. It's true.
I applaud your honesty on that.
I'm embarrassed, but deep down, that's I think was working. That's
not how I thought. Like when with comedy was different, and for most of my career, I was married and talked about being married on stage. But I will say, as a personal trainer, before when I first started out and when I first moved to New York, I appeared to be asexual, or what's the word, to not have a preference, because I too wanted gay men to pay me as a personal trainer, and if I talked about women, they didn't like it.
That makes
so
sense.
I just didn't talk about
Did you take off your wedding ring?
Sexuality. I wasn't married then.
Oh, you weren't married then.
So when I was younger and single, but now I am single and dating. To getting back to the question about heterofatalism, I mean, my understanding from the women that I've dated is that all men are dicks. Yeah. So that's one of the issues. That
ends up being an issue.
It's certainly of a certain category. Then men are more likely, you talked about the political thing. Men are more likely to be like MAGA or Trump, and whether you like that or not, a lot of more women don't like that, at least in the dating pool. It might be why they're single of a certain age, like because they were married to a guy, they didn't like his politics.
There's a lopsided, and I do wonder, again, we don't have sample set size, Nayeema, here, but I do wonder of the dating pool, if there's lopsided, like women, and I'm sure I'm guessing there's numbers to back this up, that there are more liberal women than there are liberal men, and so that leaves.
I also think, we'll let Nayeema answer this before she does. I also think, this is again anecdotal, I don't have any data. I also think men don't care as much about women's political views as women do with men. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think that politics has like been injected into all of our lives and dating, et cetera, more than it probably needs to be. I mean, I probably, like, there are definitely red lines in politics and like where you would fall, and it's a good representative of values, but it's also not the end all be all of dating, and it has felt like that the last 5 years of dating. I do have sample set when it comes to dating. By the way, I have a lot of dating data, but I just think that now, like, the roles of women and men are shifting a little bit. It used to be that women were like always posting, I have a boyfriend, and now it's like the guys are like, women want the guys to post that they have a girlfriend, and they're hiding that they have a boyfriend. It's like it's just a little bit of a shift in the power dynamic. Yeah. And also there's this whole concept of women are applying now of Shrekking. Have you guys heard of this?
No, but I'd like to do it.
What is it?
It's when you date somebody who's not as good looking as you. So it's like taking apart this hypergamous.
All the women that have dated me have felt that.
that you Shrek, and then you get Shreked. And when you get Shreked, it means that they still fuck
Such
you
a
over,
fucked up
even
phrase.
Though
It's so mean.
That's so sad. But by the way, I mean, the funny thing is, I have an entire fucking 7-minute bit about marrying a hot
Mismatches.
guy. Yeah. Because I'm married to a very hot man, and I know I'm hot, blah blah blah. Yeah, but this is part of the problem: is that women cannot talk about whether or not they're married to someone hot, or like they're dating someone hotter. Like, people get very uncomfortable. Men will say all the time, "Oh man, she's so hot. She's way," It's like a kind of expected that women are with women that are
care
hotter.
a little bit less, don't they? A little bit less.
Oh, I've dated many not hot guys.
You have Shrek. You have Shrek.
I have, yes. I have dated so many men that were way less hot than me. But then I married someone who's just very hot. Oh my God,
Congratulations.
I only date very attractive blind women, so they can never know. They just put their hands on my head. They're like, I think I'm Shrekking.
Well, folks, we learned something new today, and it's called Shrekking, and that's the main takeaway.
So mean.
From this segment of the conversation. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's more. And we're back, and we're ready for topic number 2. On to politics. Right before Thanksgiving, 2 National Guards people were shot by an Afghan asylee, one fatally. The entire incident is obviously horrific. And I don't want to talk, but I do want to talk about the Trump administration reaction to this shooting. Trump responded by pausing asylum and green card decisions for people from concerning countries. I think that means basically his first term shithole countries.
Yeah, 19 countries, they chose them.
And he also is halting visas for Afghans who assisted the U.S. war effort. And I don't know. This was obviously a grievous and genuinely tragic murder. What do you make of the response?
The response is those National Guardsmen should never have been there. And he's going to now, as a result, put more targets, because that's what they are to a certain extent. All law enforcement in uniform is a target to a certain extent. But that's part of what how law enforcement has always worked, and it's part of the issue. But to put these National Guardsmen out in their military uniforms, and by the way, they didn't have guns, now they're all going to have guns, is making them sitting ducks. And we all know, if you've been to D.C. or any of these cities where they're really not doing much, because that's not how crime works. And it's been a power play to take over cities and to intimidate the public. And I think that all the responsibility falls to the irresponsible decision makers, including obviously the commander in chief, for doing this. And my heart goes out to, by the way, ask any of these, not any, but many of these those National Guardsmen serving or the Marines who are in California, and they know that what they're doing is useless and to some extent embarrassing and humiliating. So, and the public overwhelmingly doesn't want them there, and so that's my short view on it. I think it's really terrible, and I think that they shouldn't be there in harm's way to begin with.
Nayeema?
Yeah, I mean, it is a extremely tragic and horrible crime that was committed to kill these two National Guardsmen. I don't want to
One,
go,
right?
Sorry, I should say
one
yeah.
of them was
To kill-
fatally
sorry, to
shot, and
shoot-
two were shot.
Yeah, to
Shoot them point blank. Yeah.
National Guardsmen, one of whom died. I on the culpability, I think obviously you should prosecute and pursue that individual. It is I'm going to approach it from a different question, which is like, what does this mean for our foreign policy and immigration? Like, as you've said, Trump has been very dogged in his desire to limit immigration from the jump. We remember that romantic Valentine's Day meme that was shared on the White House Instagram feed last year, which is like roses are red, whatever, violets are blue, and immigrants should go home, something. But I think that so this is a expedient, opportunistic use of a crime to do something that was already in play through the immigration czars, Steve Miller and others. I think there's also a question of like, what does this mean? Because this was a person who served and supported the U.S. military in Afghanistan. And there has been the sense of like, if you are a U.S. ally, you will be taken care of. That allows the U.S. to have some political might in its wars in the rest of the world. Now, it is not news that the U.S. abandoned its allies. I come from Pakistan originally. Like that was a country that was a huge U.S. ally in the Cold War. Yeah, the Kurds and the Trump administration, the Vietnamese Kurds were left behind in Syria. So I think that there's a history of this, and there's this kind of media cry of like, well, what's going to happen because we're abandoning our allies and we'll never have power.
Yeah.
And like, it's like, well, that's not
We've
really
been doing
real.
that,
We've
right.
been doing that. That's a pattern. But it is a different world now. It's a more multipolar world. And I think that your alliances probably matter more in the next 20 years than they have even in the last 20. And so that is something to think about.
And I also think, the soft power play feels more critical now than it has, say, since the fall of the wall. I think soft power was really critical in making American culture desirable during the Cold War. During the Cold War, and in that time, we had to like be seen as treating our enemies, our allies well, and the people who helped us in those war efforts, and the people who turned their backs on their own country's efforts at being at war with us. But now I feel like we're sort of a little bit back to that feeling because, if you look at this, like kind of just the larger geopolitical picture is that China is also making a cultural play. I just read about the world of tea shops opening in the United States.
Yes.
There's thousands of tea shops. In fact, just walking here, I passed by Haiti, which is
everywhere we pull out
there's
of,
a Chinese tea
they
shop.
are filling the vacuum.
Exactly.
Including USAID.
So it's like we do want to appear as we're good, we help, we don't leave people behind.
We do. Some of us do.
I mean, I want to appear that way.
Yeah, but I don't think MAGA and Trump wants to appear that way.
Yeah,
that's what America First
is.
is.
I guess, but I'm curious. Is a MAGA person do they really want the U.S. to be reviled by other countries?
Well,
that doesn't seem to make sense to me, even from a MAGA position.
I think that there's something different. I think there's like a certain American hubris. Look, I'm like a real, I'm a real experiencer of American soft power because I grew up an American Pakistani in Asia and Africa in the 90s, and I, grew up on American TV. Watched a few years later when it was played there, and American values were so imbued in the TV and the culture, et cetera. I think there's still not, like, fast forward to 2025, people are still not like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to graduate and like move to Beijing. I don't hear people saying that,
and
except
it takes
to learn
time.
Chinese.
Exactly.
To that. So I don't think that China is able to compete. I think there's a U.S. hubris that like, this is the best country in the world.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you want to come study here. We have all the great universities.
Yeah.
We're, like currently fighting with them too. But there's this sense of like, America's so great it will always stand that it has been really weakened. And it is not just Republicans who have weakened it. Like, Barack Obama is saying there's a red line in Syria, then not going for it. American values have been espoused and like gone into the wind
Right.
for a very long time now.
Right.
And really, the Iraq War and the lies that were told to go into those wars in 2003 is like the beginning of the end of American soft power, in my point of view.
But getting back to
Jesus Christ, the end of the soft
I think
power.
it's coming. Yeah, the end of American soft power.
But getting back to your point was about the Afghan,
Go ahead.
the assassination by an Afghan asylee who was brought here because he worked with the CIA paramilitary group as a door knocker and a shooter. I mean, that's what he did.
Right.
And he was brought here with his family, like hundreds or rather thousands of others. And let's be clear, I mean, you guys know this a lot better than I do. MAGA does not like Muslims. They don't like brown people. And they certainly don't like them when they kill National Guardsmen. So the result of this was obviously like, the whole community is like, oh, please don't let it be, it's an Afghan refugee. And we all knew what that was going to mean. And it's just, and he's taken that and he's run with it to demonize and deny entry to anyone but white South Afrikaners. So, I mean, that's the result of this. Anytime you're not perfect as a brown person, much less, God forbid, an immigrant, much less, even worse, a refugee or an asylum seeker, someone like, if you make any mistakes, it's under a microscope in a way.
And now they're looking at green cards that they've, from this list of countries, they're looking at green cards that they've
Nobody's
issued.
safe.
No,
Yeah.
and nobody's safe. And it's interesting because my husband was
I'm
wondering, like, if just the behavior of the administration is enough to flip the Latino vote that we lost back to the Democrats, and or
Yes.
is it like, I think I agree.
I mean,
It is.
especially with Venezuela, Marco Rubio's making that bet.
Yeah. And I.
Oh,
and
sorry.
I-
Actually, sorry. I think they're trying to push it back to the Republicans. They're going to get more Latino votes in
Because of Venezuela.
Yeah, because of Republicans.
They're
And
not because of prices.
I mean, because of prices, and also because, I'm Iranian. I know green card holders who are Iranian. This thing, and for it even affects me, and I'm like a comfortable person here in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Like, I think any immigrant, relative of an immigrant, knows someone who is being affected by these policies, and that is, I feel like, gonna drive more people into voting for Democrats.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a policy thought here, like a strategy here, which is like either they make everyone scared and do nothing, right? And then it's just like a bunch of liberal overreactors, pre-offended people, which is maybe one path that they could go down, or they actually do something about it, in which case the fear was justified and the outcome is bad for these individuals personally and for potentially the nation, as we're like losing, again, the value of people wanting to come study here. There is data, I think, around people wanting less frequently to come study in the United States for higher learning and opting instead for Europe, Australia, and other countries.
And Americans going. My daughter's going to probably study in Europe because it's becoming more attractive for even American citizens than it was before, because of all the investments, as Nayeema is saying, in American universities have been but from the government especially, have been why American universities have been so successill.
And the cost is outrageous. I mean, that's part of it. Europe has just become attractive from a cost perspective.
I know,
That too.
but also, can I just say, I did a little school in Paris.
Ooh.
As listeners
Oui.
know, j'habitais à Paris. And they, look, I was at the Sorbonne. It's fine. And but I can say one thing that I felt like when I was there was, this is no elite American college. It just didn't. The amount of investment into that school just paled in comparison to what we've historically done. And I think there's still a ways to go before any of those schools can reach what we already have going for us. And I'm probably just saying this because I have like a bias towards what we do, but like there.
Although, I mean, I've spoken to medical experts who tell me that cancer is going to be, in 25 years, we're going to be going to China for cancer treatment, because the amount of investment that they are doing into medical research and university learning in sciences and STEM in particular.
And to opening tea shops in America.
And
Yes.
while we're
I think that they're
disinvesting, we're disinvesting in some of that science, like science, like mRNA, that will be the cure to cancer. We're demonizing it while they're like, we think this is good. Same thing with clean energy. So nothing really matters anymore anyway, because everything has changed so much.
It's 3 more years. Okay, hold done. Let's
No,
move
it
on.
won't be that long.
Let's move through. of the Trump administration.
That won't be that long.
Okay. Oh,
Something's gonna happen.
Takes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into this next little political moment. Pete Hegseth is back in the news because of legally dubious attack that he authorized in the Caribbean in September. He ordered an attack of a boat that would kill people aboard. The boat that was carrying drugs, possibly. The first strike left 2 people alive, and then there was a second strike that killed those living people. This was all based on Hegseth's orders to kill them all. Even some Republicans think this was possibly illegal. I guess, I don't know.
It's
How do you
definitely
guys-
illegal by every person who interprets
Yeah.
military law. You know, Pete Hegseth gets a bad rap. No, I'm just kidding. He's like the worst guy by every single measure. But the thing that makes him the worst is like any person, not just man, but especially men, who like doesn't have the experience, in his case, in the military. He has limited military experience, at least he has some. But he's talking down to and going after like Mark Kelly and his medals. Dude flew planes and got shot at and commanded the space shuttle twice, and Pete Hegseth is tweeting about his medals are on backwards, which they weren't. And I think that he has lost so much faith amongst flag officers as the Secretary of Defense. And more importantly, what this issue that you're talking about, everybody's going to throw him under the boat, as you should say, because what he did here is horrific. And this country has a history of at least saying we're supposed to follow by a certain set of laws that have been followed by, and in this state, you know, who was it? George Will said yesterday he's a war criminal without a war, killing innocent people. They are once their boat has been destroyed.
We
So, by
don't
the way-
know enough. I mean, we used to just
Remember we used
arrest
to
those
debate
people.
torture? We used to debate torture.
Yeah.
This is it's very interesting because all of a sudden you have like the body cam equivalent of international law,
Yeah.
right? Which is wild. I mean, I don't want to upstage your experience at the Sorbonne, but I did study international law in my undergrad and decided not to
okay.
pursue it in large part because international law, it's
Frustrating.
It's frustrating because it's either like not fully codified or and certain
Hard to
countries are not
enforce.
signatory to it. And
Yep.
then when the biggest country in the world is really not part of
Right.
the International Criminal Court or other,
Right.
you know, then you have a real problem. So, but what I did speak to my former professor, Anthony Clark Aaron at Georgetown School of Foreign Service, and we were speaking about the first question I had for him, which is like a smart girl dumb question. I'm like, are we at war with Venezuela? Like, are we at war yet? And it's like they're defining it as armed conflict. And the president is saying we are at war with these, what he is calling narco traffickers, right, coming to this country. So then you're in all of a sudden in the rules as they apply to the rights, to the war. Now, the strikes are really important because the first strike, you could argue, took them out. But then if they're shipwrecked sailors, they are even combatants are protected, you know, especially if they try to surrender. So all of a sudden, all this like whatever I'm calling body cam footage, just like footage that you're seeing, becomes really interesting, important. It's been curious that there's bipartisan support for this because I don't know how this will end. The Department of Justice their legal counsel actually wrote a letter basically classifying this as a war, basically giving a bit of a carte blanche, because once the legal counsel at the DOJ writes something, then people cannot be prosecuted domestically for the actions that they take. That admiral, you know, I think allegedly understood that Pete Hegseth had ordered the killing of all of these, you know, what they are alleging are narco traffickers.
Yeah.
And they also want to treat the drugs that are on board, if they are on board, as weapons. Like they're saying this is at war because Americans are dying. So there's a whole complex argument that will really test the law, and then let's see if they even adhere.
But
to
if
the
you
law.
want to, I think, I don't know much about international law or anything, actually, but if you want to kill, if you're the government and you want to kill somebody, you got to tell us who and why. And in the past, America has designated people as foreign combatants or Al-Qaeda or whatever it might be. And they're like, that guy's bad, and we're going to kill him. And you're like, all right, we probably should have had a trial, or you capture him. And, well, it's a war. But in this case, we don't know who they're killing or whether or not they have any drugs. They could be fishermen. The New York Times did a great investigation on one of the families of one of these guys they've killed, and they're destitute. I mean, it could be just a guy with a boat. If you know anybody with a boat, I had a boat growing up. People ask you to do shit. or a van.
Can I also
Move my
just
stuff.
say the
I was a narco trafficker. The Finger Lakes.
Are we at war with Pete Dominick?
In the Finger Lakes in the 90s. I was a narco.
Somebody call Pete Hegseth.
The other thing that I think we're learning a little bit right now is that the GOP has loved to wage war on concepts, right? In
Right.
2001 it was terrorism, and that lasted over a decade, and now we're like at war with like narco traffickers,
drugs,
or whatever.
poverty,
But it's like they don't
crime.
want to like name as a nation state or official entity that we're at war with, and I think Americans have generally not liked this approach. You know what I mean?
But don't you think that's like actually a consequence of the world? I mean, I don't know. I don't want to be like the GOP defender here. Not my brand. But
I
like,
won't let you. Don't worry.
But I just think that that's how Americans, because of this whole soft power, like America has been a country fighting for ideals.
Right.
It needs to kind of cloak all of its arguments around philosophies rather than being specific. And also, there's been a huge change in power in the last 30, 40 years, in part because of the democratization of things from the internet, where all of a sudden you have non-state actors who are able to achieve results in a way that states can, and we don't know how to deal with that.
Right. And we're,
But none of our
absolutely.
military conflicts of our lifetime have been legitimate. None of them.
Look, I think that the U.S. is making a play for Latin America because it understands that there's a multipolar world, and they're testing whether China or Russia are going to get involved
into
here,
it.
or Iran, which is like nowhere to be seen. The Chinese are like lip service only. The Russians are too
I think
busy in Ukraine, and the Americans are going to establish their sphere of influence. Welcome back to the 1990s.
I don't think America's making a play for South America. I think the oil companies are making a play for Venezuela.
I think it's bigger.
I mean,
than that.
there was like
And they're
that vague.
saying it.
Who was it that made that vague comment about like, oh, if something happens, we can decrease the price of oil?
Oh no,
And it
there's
was
no
like-
vague comments. It's crazy because we used to talk about in the war and the invasion. Dick Cheney just died, and obviously we all always knew that was about oil and securing their oil, and we knew before that in Iran that was what that was about when they nationalized their oil industry. The private oil companies, don't like that. They want to privatize and get the money out of the ground everywhere they can, and so this is a very transparent effort by the international, but especially American oil companies, to take back Venezuelan oil.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Trump, himself said this deal should involve that, and obviously wasn't able to secure such a deal. It's just, but I think that it's interesting that the Chinese are not going to fight for that, right? Because if it's just about oil, I think the Chinese are making a longer term play of like nuclear or whatever their like long term sustainable energy plans,
Yeah.
access to batteries, et cetera. They're not concerned about this backyard issue for now. There's also like
Again,
you also
they
have
have
this very weird situation.
Nayeema, they have so many tea shops that they need to
Well, they generally
open,
don't,
and
but
let's not forget that.
China doesn't send their entire fleet or part of their fleet to any country outside of their sphere of influence. They never really have. It's not.
No, but
I
I don't mean that they should go. I don't imagine that they would actually involve themselves in this. But even in the Security Council, even in taking
Right.
action in a diplomatic way, they are kind of hands off on this situation, which is interesting. You also have a Venezuelan opposition leader who just won the Nobel Prize, who's very grateful to Donald
Right.
Trump. This is a complicated. I remember being in college and studying about the rise of Hugo Chavez and nationalism, and I feel like Venezuela has been in the same state. I have no idea what's going on there, but I feel like in 25 years or 20 years, whatever, since we've been kids, this has not changed.
Right. Okay, let's take a quick break and we'll be back. And we are back with our last topic. Costco wants its money back. Costco is suing the Trump administration for a refund of tariffs in the event that the Supreme Court finds Trump's tariffs illegal, which they might. And they're not the only ones. Revlon, the canned food giant Bumblebee, and the motorcycle maker Kawasaki have all followed suit in the suit. Are you surprised that a prominent Fortune 500 company like Costco has come out against the president so boldly?
First of all, just full disclosure, I am a member. And high standing, not like an entry level member.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Like when I walk in, they're like,
Are there
Well,
tiers
by the
of
way-
membership at
yeah,
Costco?
yeah.
I am not a member.
I'm not
Yeah.
a member either. I'm not a
Well,
member.
we live in New York. It's hard to be a member
I'm
in
a
New York
member.
City.
But people are because it's Instacartable. But anyways.
Okay,
And
I did not know that.
I think this is awesome. I think Costco, of all the big, giant companies in America, certainly in their world, has a lot more ethics, and that's part of the play, part of their brand to some extent, their labor practices and their low prices. No, but I think this is a smart
free
thing.
ads,
Sponsored
Jesus
by
Christ.
Costco.
For any company to be able to give a refund potentially to their customers who they think paid too much, and they did, it's a smart play because if they can give money back to their customers, that's going to make all of us real happy. And
is that what's going to happen? They're going to get
potentially. I doubt it,
but I don't think that's part of it.
It feels like a shareholder play more than it does like a customer's play.
So I know all of a sudden, like, I think that there are two questions I had when I saw this. One was, what is Costco's return policy? Because I have this thing against people who have draconian return policies. But Costco says 90 days.
You return stuff?
Because I shop online and not everything fits and looks.
Yeah,
good.
but I do too. But then I don't return.
No,
it.
I return.
It seems laborious.
No, you must. The proportions I'm buying, I need to return. But they have a 90-day return policy, which I thought was pretty good. 90-day refund policy.
No,
if you're not satisfied,
first of all, Nayeema, you and I are not representative of America because nearly 1/3 of Americans shop at Costco. That is the statistic.
Well, you know the other crazy thing about Costco? It is the third most widely circulated magazine in America. What? After 2 from the AARP. Jimmy Kimmel, I think, fought to get on the cover of the Costco magazine. I don't even know if he was successful. But I think that it's a big deal. So I'm just waiting for the administration.
So sorry, Pete, as a member, is it a magazine you just receive because you're a member?
Listen, membership has privileges. I'm not here to tell you, if you want to join us. But what were we going to say? That you're waiting for the administration to punish Costco?
I'd like to go after the media, the press function of
right.
Costco.
The Costco magazine is garbage.
Right.
I don't know why anybody reads it.
The Costco libel claims.
Fake news Costco magazine.
I think the fact that Costco has come out with this lawsuit,
I prefer BJ's. Sorry.
The fact that Costco has come out with a lawsuit, I feel like is a sign that the Fortune 500 companies that have been sort of quietly sitting by as the president has
don't like tariffs.
Don't like fucking tariffs.
Nobody does.
And also, he's a lame duck president now,
Yep.
which I feel like everyone's finally admitting to themselves and to God. He is a lame duck president. We do not need to lick his butt constantly, and we shall be filing this lawsuit.
I think that companies do not like to pass on higher prices to their customers, and no capitalists like tariffs. And so whether you're Revlon or Costco or Exxon or any automobile manufacturer, there are some niche industries that might like it, might balance something. But whether you're a farmer or working in manufacturing of any kind, it's terrible. It's backfired. And if they can recuperate any of that money, and the Supreme Court is going to be the final decider on this, I guess, then that would be huge. That would be huge.
Which, by the way, the Supreme Court hasn't made that decision yet, but they seem really skeptical of the president's authority in doing these tariffs. And obviously, the lower courts were like, no.
Yeah.
So
there's
a chance
cases to watch, I think, as it relates to tariffs. I mean, I think that Pete is really not a reliable narrator here because he obviously has so much money to get back in Costco tariff rebates.
Yeah, he's too involved.
He's like,
thousands of dollars.
Him being here is a conflict of interest.
You know how much those Oral-B electric toothbrush replacements are? Anywhere else but Costco? I'm just saying.
Oh, all right.
Not to mention
Let's see.
chicken and eggs.
It's hard to...
Also, electric toothbrush brag over here.
Also, all my clothes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
I go in there for eggs.
You buy clothes at Costco?
Oh, my gosh. Every time I go to Costco, I go in there for food in bulk and an air fryer, and I leave with lined pants every time.
Can we come with you to Costco one day?
You cannot.
I've never been to Costco.
No, you can get your damn membership.
No, why? I don't want to.
Wow.
You know,
all right.
Okay. It's
By the way, I'd bring you to Costco and you just leave me.
My mom will take you, Nayeema. We'll get my mom to take us on
Just
a
use
trip.
me for my Costco
He's just trying to
membership.
keep Muslims out of Costco. You heard it here
Well,
first.
we all are. I'll tell you who it's filled with. Catholics. Just Catholics. You can tell.
Can you just send me your old Costco magazines so I could read
Oh,
them?
I know. But is it? No one is answering my Costco magazine question. Do you look at it, and is there anything like articles, or is it just about the deals that are at Costco?
Yeah, I go for the centerfold, which is
Which is Oral-B toothbrushes.
No, it's a rotisserie chicken.
Oh, yummy.
Yeah, I love
do
it.
actually. Wait, I have been to Costco once. They give samples.
They do. That's
Nayeema,
intimidating.
I've been
hold
to Costco
on.
as a child.
Wait, hold
I'm
on.
having
You don't know
a
about-
memory of like being in the Costco.
Wait
Was
a
it around
second.
in the
Have you
1990s?
have you
Yeah, I've
literally
been.
only been to a Costco once?
I think in the 90s I went to a Costco
I'm
as
more
a child.
I'm
and I
more
remember
American
getting
than
free-
you, my friend.
She went to the
because-
Pakistan Costco and she was little. And it was different, though. It was just called Cos.
That's what they're known for is their samples. It's their
We could
entire
talk about it.
marketing is their samples.
How do you feel though when
I like free
would
samples.
you be the person? Would you ever be the person who serves the sample? I feel like that's a bit of a humiliating job.
Why?
Because
Yeah,
so many
why?
people pass on your sample, and I would
No,
take
I would
it.
just
I would
eat
take it
it out.
personally.
First of
I
all,
would just eat
I'm like, you don't want it?
The
I would take it
people-
personally.
my daughter, when we go to California to see my parents for Christmas, which we will be doing, the first thing she wants to do is go to Costco, and she does not pass
See?
up a single sample.
Well, the other thing is when you take a sample and you don't like it, I feel uncomfortable telling the person I didn't like what they were serving.
I mean, it's not a suggestion box, Pete. Just take it and walk away. To the
I know,
toothbrush
they're not like
section. What are you
waiting
doing?
for your review.
I just want to
of the
talk to somebody. That's why I go.
They're
Contact.
not. Pete is using Costco samples to combat his personal loneliness epidemic.
Is Costco
Absolutely.
a dating app? I should join.
By the way, still like no one wants to tell me what's in this magazine. So listeners, if you are out there, can someone please tell me what is in this Costco magazine? I need to know.
I just
It is
know-
in heavy circulation.
Negin Farsad, future contributor to Costco magazine.
Yeah.
I just had a weird vision of Nayeema meeting the love of her life in the return line at Costco.
That could happen.
You return
Costco.
things too? Oh my God.
Costco
I like
a
it
dating
because
app.
he's value conscious, okay? And he has a membership. I'm not even going to get a Costco membership. I'm just going to elide the entry security guards, grab a free sample, get in the return line, meet my man, and leave.
All right, folks.
This is it.
This is the new dating plan. We will be updating you on Naeema's dating life as it progresses.
Thank you.
All right, that is the end of the show. I just want to thank both of you for being on the show. And where can people find you, Nayeema? Where do they find you?
They can find me on my podcast, Smart Girl Dumb Questions. They can find me on Instagram or TikTok. Instagram is at Nayeema Raza or at Smart Girl Dumb Questions. Sorry. Instagram is at Nayeema Raza, and the show is on at Smart Girl Dumb Questions on TikTok and Instagram.
Folks, listen to this show. It's such a great show.
It is a great
honestly.
show, and it's like very popular now. So I'm like ripping it off. I'm going to do my new show. I'm launching. It's called Dumb Guy. Okay, questions.
There's a lot of
Which
those
he's been
podcasts.
doing. Which he's
it's every
podcasts out
it's every
there.
podcast.
My podcast is the counter to that podcast. It's about being confident enough to be curious. I asked Neil
look at her.
deGrasse Tyson, are we in a simulation or like doormen? What people are like when no one's watching.
By the way,
Oh.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, also a Fake the Nation regular.
Yes.
So you can do your Fake the Nation faves on Naeema's show, and then it'll be meta as fuck. All right. Pete, where is your dumb
Stand up with
guy?
Pete Dominick every day.
There it is.
Stand up with Pete.
It's an
Anywhere.
everyday podcast. He has so much to say. I've been on the show. He's so smart. As you can tell from this show, it is an excellent show. Please listen to it. And you know where to find me. Don't forget to, I wanted to make one little plug besides my show in DC on December 12th. Keep buying your tickets. The other thing I wanted to plug was the movie Rosemead. The movie Rosemead is opening in New York and Los Angeles. And it's in this weekend in New York. It'll be at the Lincoln Center Cinemas. I know a lot of people who worked on the show, on this movie. It's a really beautiful movie. My husband is also in it.
Your hot husband?
My hot husband is in this movie. But Lucy Liu is in this movie and does the most incredible, transformation of a actor I've ever seen in my life. So go see Rosemead in the cinema in New York and Los Angeles. I know that doesn't mean all of you can go, but for those of you in these two regions, please go see it. It's so excellent. Otherwise, I want to thank everyone who makes the show a possibility. I want to thank P&T Knitwear for having us here at their podcast studio on the Lower East Side. Thank you to Rob Heath, our producer. Thank you to Gabi Alter for our theme music. You can reach us at fakethenationpodcast@gmail.com. And otherwise, we'll be back in your earballs next week.